Hey, so it's Jasmine again, and so I did an unwrap in Maya, and then realized that probably a lot of the people that are starting out in 3D probably do start in Blender, and especially people that I've run into in Sans Art. And what has occurred to me is that maybe I would do a video of how to unwrap something in Blender, because you may be newer to Blender and you've got your thing modeled and you want to know how to unwrap it. So this is an armor I made in Blender, and I was going to kind of just walk you through how I unwrapped it, and then probably what I'll do for part of it is just leave how I unwrap the whole thing, but do it like a speed video thing so you can see it and you can slow down if you want to see something in particular, but we don't bore you to death. So I want to, what I like to do is I like to separate things off and unwrap them, well, for two reasons. One is I'm probably going to use more than one texture on this because I want to get a fair amount of detail, and so I'm probably going to separate this off some. The other reason I want to split it off is that it's just easier to more easier to digest chunks when you're talking about unwrapping, and so the way that I like to do that, to split things up, I like to do that in wireframe mode. And it used to be that Blender, you would hit Z and you would go to wireframe mode. With the new super amazing Blender, it's changed a good bit. And so what you can do now is you hit Z and it doesn't go to wireframe. Look at all these options. So you can go to rendered, which is going to give you whatever this would look like given what materials it has on it, which this has nothing, and then whatever lighting in the scene, which is nothing. So, but when you have a scene like all set up, then that's useful. The next one's solid. That's the one I use the most, and I do that when I'm modeling, and then I'll set different things to different materials. This is the one that's new that I kind of think is pretty. There's a new one called Look Development, and it kind of gives you like your materials and a little bit of shading, and look how pretty and shiny. I love it. And then the last one, and the one that I want right now, is Wireframe. Now, why do I want to do that? Well, because if I go and select vertices and I don't have Wireframe, I may not get all the vertices, and so then you've got like your model has like most of it, but not all of it. And then there's like stuff on the back that didn't get caught. And then, you know, that's not really what we want. I can probably do a tutorial of how to fix that later if you accidentally do that and you need to put it back together. But anyway, so that's not what we want right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit mode. And so now it's in edit mode, and I want to go to vertices, because what I want to do is I want to select this and this and this and this, and I'll put it into 4 things. So to get a box, I'm going to hit B, and then I'm going to drag it down, and see now all this is selected. I'm going to hit P, selection, and that's going to take it out. And then here we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go B. I'm going to keep doing that, and I'll probably speed this video up. Okay, so now that I have all of that together, I don't need to be in wireframe so much anymore, right? So what we're going to do is, now I've got this piece separated off nicely, and so that's the one I'm going to show you how to unwrap. We're going to go back to solid mode. Okay, now we've got this piece. To center in it, I'm going to hit the decimal point on my numlock keys to center in. I'm going to then go to object mode. I'm going to go to edit mode. Okay, and so now I can see all my vertices. I'm going to go to the edge mode, okay, because that just makes it easier to see. Okay, I'm going to hit one of these edges. I'm going to hit L to select them all. And just in case I unwrapped it before, I'm not 100% sure, what we're going to do is we are going to first, whoopsie, clear all the seams, just to make sure I don't have any seams. Okay. So there's 1 or 2 ways I can do this. The way that this is, that I did it where it doesn't have a whole piece, if this had a whole inside and a whole outside, I would probably run a seam around the edge and lay it flat. But that's not what I did here, but I want it to get flat. So what I'm going to do to go into where I'm going to work, I'll hit one of the edges and hit the decimal key. All right, so we want this to be flat. How am I going to do it? What's most important is how it looks on the front, you know, which, you know, it's kind of funny. So what I want to do is I want to make cuts on the edges of this so that it lays flat. That's my end goal. All right, so how do I do that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cut here and here, and here and here. I don't want any lines on the front, right? Because especially if you're in Unreal, it gets really ugly fast. So I'm not going to put any lines on the front, but I'm going to put these 3 lines here, okay? And then I think what I'm going to see, let's see, if this is cut here, you got to think of, okay, well, how will this lay? So I'm going to put these lines here, and that's because that way this will lay out flat like that. This will lay out flat like that, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the seam. Then I'm going to go to my UV editing. I'm going to select all. It's going to be a hot mess. This is just to see if that edge lays down correctly or not. You go to UV and unwrap. Okay, now let's just see where the heck that thing was that I tried to lay out flat. It's not there. It's not there. It's not. Here it is. Okay, did this go flat-ish? I think it kind of did. It's not perfect, obviously, but this is going to be on the back. And, you know, you can just, like, unwrap it and leave it like this and get some packing on the end and stuff, but I like to bust it out a little bit so it lays a little bit flatter. You could alternatively, you could actually even cut all the way up into here, but you might get some funny shading on Unity, and you have to sometimes balance, okay, what is going to give me shading issues and what's going to make it more flat and all these. And so I'm just going to bust these out. I think that's enough. I'm not going to worry about it other than that. Okay, listen, self-taught, this is what I do. If you have another plan and you like it better, super awesome. I'm happy for you. That's great. You do that. So that may sound a little feisty, but yeah, I just do what I like to do. Okie dokie. So I'm going back to the modeling screen because I don't really like to unwrap in the UV screen just because, like, it's super duper, like, I don't know. I just like it because I get up closer. Okay, so now look what I've got here. This is super hard. I can't see in here. So what am I going to do? Well, this is another time I think I'm going to go to wireframe. Before I do so, though, I'm going to put a little line here so I can kind of tell where I'm at. So Z, wireframe. Okay, so now I can kind of see. So where am I at? I want this one. I want that one, I think. Okay, and those are the 2 I want there. I want this one, and this one, and this one. And then so then I'm going to go to UV, and then I'm going to go to mark seam. Okay, and then I'm going to come down, whoopsie, to the edge down here. Okie dokie. And yeah, I can kind of tell from here because I've gotten, I guess, sort of used to what this is looking like when I want done. I don't know if I marked that other piece of seam. We're going to find out here in a minute. Boogers. Okay. And then go here, I think. Okay. And, you know, so in Maya they have this thing where you can just hit G, and I need to look up and see if I know that before this that Blender didn't have that sort of feature. They may have added it in with this latest update. I need to see if they have. I mean, maybe they've got a better solution now, because this going up here and saying mark seam. So if I was in Maya, I would just keep hitting G and it would redo my last command. Okay, so now I'm gonna select all of that. I am still sniffly, guys. Sorry that I am still sniffly because, yeah, allergies. And, you know, I'm allergic to a cat, and I have a cat because I had this moment. I went and volunteered at a shelter. They were going to put the kitty down, and I was like, no. So I ended up with a cat, and then I found out I'm allergic. And so now it's like, do I take the cat back to the shelter, or they put it down, or do I keep it? And here, years later, I still have this silly cat, and I just have to take Claritin sometimes when it gets too bad. Okay, that's just this whole tangent. Okay, so back to UV editing. So here we are. Okay, so we've got all this selected, and I'm going to go to UV and unwrap. So on Maya, it's unfold. And so I think I can live with this because this is laying pretty flat there, pretty flat there. Okay, so one other thing I want to say, you could go in here and you could split all of these up, or you can also, even alternatively, you could just do an unwrap, and then like how I went and cut all this on the model, you could actually do it here. But anyway, so I just wanted to free this up a little bit so it lays pretty flat, and this on the back, you know, nobody's going to see the things on the back. Okay, so that's how I did that one. So the rest of it I'm going to unwrap, but I'm not going to be yammering about. I'm going to unwrap it and then actually, let me see. And then speed it up. The other thing, and then after I get all these pieces unwrapped, I'm going to show you how to set it to different materials and combine it. Okay. Hey, okay, so that is all of the unwrapping, and then what I wanted to do was now I've set up. Okay, if this was like a desktop game that nobody was going to get up too close on, I would probably put all this to one material and maybe put on a 2048, and it might not be completely clear, but I would want it to be like less. Maybe I would put it on. You might have to put it on tube. Anyway, what I'm getting at is because it's VR, I'm going to put it on 4 materials or like 4 UV spaces because, and I may be using the wrong terms because remember I'm self-taught, but basically what I mean is that like this will be in 1 UV with 1 texture set, 1 UV and 1 texture set, and then this will be 1 UV and 1 texture set, and then this and then this. So it would be 4 UVs and 4 texture sets. That's going to mean you're going to have more draw calls, unfortunately, for the textures. But if you're in VR and I would put all of this on one, chances are it's going to look really, really blurry. Unless, of course, I did like a really super simple leather, in which case I may be able to get away with it. Or a super simple metal, I might be able to get away with it then too. But if you're going to put it on, if you're wanting any kind of detail at all, it's like stitching or anything like that, you're really going to have it on more than one to get it to show up. Okay, this is UV unwrapped and ready to go into Substance, and I just wanted to show unwrapping something in Blender. Guess that's it. Okie dokie, bye.